100 people laughed when a Chinese billionaire dissed a black waiter until his amazing response changed everything. The bustling diner was alive with the sounds of sizzling plates and cheerful chatter. Jamal stood behind the counter, effortlessly weaving between tables and patrons, balancing plates of fries and burgers like a seasoned performer. At 28, he embodied resilience, earning his living to care for his ailing mother. Every night, he worked meticulously, driven by memories of her unwavering support and lessons in integrity. Tonight felt different, charged with energy, as the door swung open and in walked Mr. Chen, a Chinese billionaire, all sharp suits and striking confidence. The diner erupted with excitement as Mr. Chen settled in, oblivious to the workers hustling around him. With a sly grin, he misjudged Jamal's role and called out, "Hey! Is this your place? Looks like you're working hard to afford a chair." The laughter cascaded around the room like a tidal wave, drowning out Jamal's heart, thumping loudly in his chest. Every chuckle stabbed at him. It stung. A mix of humiliation and sorrow clung to his insides. But Jamal took a deep breath. He remembered his mother's words, "Dignity is your greatest asset." As he observed the laughing diners, he realized they weren't laughing at him but at the situation, the absurdities of wealth and class. Mr. Chen's joke sprung from a place of insecurity, a boy seeking validation by belittling others. With every ounce of humility and respect he'd been taught, Jamal found the strength to shift the narrative. "It's funny how laughter often reveals more about us than we want to admit," he said, his voice steady. The chatter faded to a hush, curiosity crackling in the air. "Let me tell you a story instead." With that, he transformed the atmosphere from one of ridicule to one of connection. Jamal's voice flowed like warm honey, weaving the crowd into his narrative. He began to speak of struggles that resonated, tales of his mother juggling jobs just to keep food on the table, moments of doubt when they considered giving up but found strength in each other. The diner grew quiet, heads nodding in recognition. But before he could continue, he knew he had to tell everyone, "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. The crowd shifted, captivated. Jamal's experiences of hardship lit something in them, each person reflecting on their judgment and biases. Tension crackled like static, and with every word, he empowered them to confront the truths they held in their hearts. By the time he finished, Mr. Chen sat silently, caught in the web of Jamal's narrative, the mockery replaced with introspection. Jamal, emboldened, prepared to step outside, the weight of empowerment growing in the room. But as he walked out, the crown of achievement on his head faded to doubts. Had he really changed any minds? The question hung in the air, swirling like a whisper of hope amid the chaos of the night. A cool breeze greeted Jamal as he stepped outside, the clamor of the diner fading behind him. The streetlights flickered along the sidewalk, and he paused to take a deep breath, the weight of vulnerability settling heavily on his shoulders. Had he really made a difference? Did his words hold any power, or were they just echoes lost in the hustle of the night? As he walked, thoughts swirled in his mind. He had opened himself up, revealed his soul to those laughing faces. But did they understand? Did Mr. Chen? The billionaire had been so quick to assume the roles dictated by wealth and status. Jamal let out a slow sigh, feeling the tension in his chest loosen slightly. Maybe the moment had sparked something deeper, maybe it had planted a seed in other hearts. He turned a corner, heading towards his mother's care facility. The hum of the city buzzed around him, alive and vibrant, but still felt distant. He reached for his phone, seeking solace in the online world he often turned to when reality felt too heavy. His notifications lit up as he scrolled through the comments from the live video feed of the diner. People were sharing stories of their own struggles. I had a manager who spoke down to me like I was nothing, one message read. Thanks for reminding me to rise above it. Another followed, I felt that. We need more people who speak up. Each comment resonated with Jamal, lifting his spirits like the warm glow of home. Just then, a car rolled past, and Jamal caught a glimpse of Mr. Chen in its back seat, staring out blankly, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. Jamal's heart raced. Perhaps the conversation hadn't ended. Perhaps there was more to be said, that he felt an urgency swelling in him. What if he could reach out to Mr. Chen? What if he could help him see the world through a broader lens? Instead of wallowing in self-doubt, Jamal pulled up his own social media and started typing. Tonight was more than a moment. It was a call to action. We are all responsible for how we treat each other. Let us work to change the laughter into understanding. He hesitated. Was he stepping too far? The thought of individual responsibility laced with compassion and humility was still fresh in his mind. But wasn't that what he had aimed for tonight? Just as he pressed send, another notification buzzed. It was from Mr. Chen's official account. Thank you, Jamal. Your words carry weight. I'd like to discuss further. The world around him stopped. Jamal's heart soared. This was more than a chance, it was an opportunity to bridge a divide he felt all his life. With determination blazing in his chest, he typed back, I'd love to. We need to talk. As he crossed the street toward the care facility, hope bubbling within him, a realization struck hard, perhaps tonight was just the beginning. What would unfold from this unexpected connection? How could their worlds intertwine? Jamal's heart raced with uncertainty and excitement. He had no idea where this would lead, but he felt the pull of possibility. Could this be the moment that changes everything, for both of them? As Jamal walked, a mix of exhilaration and nerves coursed through him. The lights from the care facility glowed softly, casting peaceful shadows that seemed to dance on the sidewalk with him. He pushed open the door, and the familiar sense of disinfectant and warm meals greeted him. The sound of soft chatter and laughter echoed within the walls. His mother's room was just down the hall. Each step felt heavier now, the weight of expectation packed tightly in his chest. What if Mr. Chen didn't respond? What if he misread the significance of that brief moment? Shaking off the thoughts, he picked up his pace, reminding himself of the energy that had surged in that diner, the connection he had felt among strangers. Inside, he found his mother sitting in her chair. A faint smile lit up her face as she looked at him. Her skin was soft and warm, silver strands of hair framing eyes that sparkled with wisdom and love. Jamal's heart swelled. Hey, Mom. How are you feeling today? Better now that you're here, she replied, her voice like soothing balm. Tell me about your night, honey. He took his seat beside her, sharing bits of the diner experience, the laughter, and then, the moment with Mr. Chen. Each word painted a picture of hope and challenges, of how words could resonate better than he ever thought possible. As he spoke, he could see the flicker of pride in her eyes, the reflection of a mother who had always believed he was destined for greatness. Sounds like you've got something special there, she said, leaning closer. You need to keep talking, Jamal. Not just for you, but for everyone who feels unheard. Her words wrapped around him like a warm hug. In that moment, he knew he had to be brave, to reach out beyond the comfort zones they often retreated to. But the reality of it settled like a stone in his gut. What if Mr. Chen only wished to silence his own doubts, without truly understanding? What if their meeting did more harm than good? Leaving the care facility, Jamal couldn't shake those worries. The streets no longer felt vibrant, they felt thick with confusion and uncertainty. He glanced at his phone, half expecting a message from Mr. Chen. But the screen remained dark and still. Perhaps it was foolish to have high hopes. As he rounded a corner, he spotted a group of teenagers huddled over a phone, laughter echoing amidst the dim glow of the streetlight. Intrigued, he ventured closer, catching bits of their conversation. Did you see that video from the diner? That waiter was amazing. One exclaimed. Right? He called out the billionaire. Another shouted, full of enthusiasm. Jamal's heart jumped. His message had reached them. He was more than just a face behind the counter, he had sparked something. A reminder spread in the world just by sharing his truth. But if that was true, what more could he do? Could he inspire adults, like Mr. Chen, to look deeper than superficial exchanges? An unshakable determination flared inside him. He had to meet with Mr. Chen, to delve into what lay beneath their surface differences. Perhaps together, they could unravel the tension woven into their worlds. Without missing a beat, he pulled out his phone again, crafting a new message. When are you free? Let us meet somewhere public. As he hit send, a warmth enveloped him. No longer was he just a waiter in a diner, now, he was an active participant in a larger story. What if this encounter could reshape not only his life but also the life of someone who held tremendous influence? His heart raced with anticipation. That moment felt like a turning point, an invitation to step into the unknown together. But would Mr. Chen be willing to engage with the heart of someone he once dismissed? As Jamal waited for a reply, he couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was just beginning. What would they discover together? Would they find that laughter could pave the way to understanding? The minutes ticked by painfully as Jamal paced in the dim light of his small apartment, eyes flicking between his phone and the window. He could see the world outside continuing on, unaware of the storm brewing within him. Every beep from his phone made his heart leap, but it was always just the same notifications. He was starting to doubt himself. What if he had misjudged Mr. Chen? What if that moment was just a fleeting spark that meant nothing? Then, finally, his phone buzzed. Jamal's heart raced as he fumbled to unlock it. I'm free tomorrow at noon. Let us meet at the cafe on Main. Looking forward to it. There it was, an opportunity. The air around him seemed to shift, brightening with possibility. But as excitement surged within him, so did a fresh wave of anxiety. What should he say? How could he communicate the layers of his experience in such a short meeting? Jamal pulled out a pad of paper, jotting down thoughts, phrases, and feelings. Doodles of coffee cups and chaotic lines scattered the page. He wanted his voice to resonate, to stir something in Mr. Chen. Meet at noon, he whispered to himself, realizing that tomorrow wasn't just another day. It would be a crossroads. He spent the rest of the evening lost in thought, replaying every interaction he had ever had with people like Mr. Chen, each long stare, each easy dismissals, and all the fleeting glances that passed between them. It dawned on him that they were woven together in a tapestry of misunderstanding. Yet, every thread shone with unique stories, stories that begged to be told. The next day, anticipation wove through him like caffeine, thrilling yet jittery. As he walked to the cafe, he remembered what his mother had said. He wasn't just doing this for himself. He was stepping up for anyone who felt silenced, trapped in their own identities. The cafe was buzzing, patrons lost in their chatter. When he entered, the scent of fresh coffee enveloped him, drawing a smile across his lips. There was Mr. Chen, seated at a table in the corner, the sunlight catching the edge of his polished watch and gleaming like the facade he often wore. Taking a deep breath, Jamal approached. Mr. Chen, thanks for meeting me. Mr. Chen looked up, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. Jamal. Nice to see you. I've been meaning to talk to you after our last encounter. Jamal nodded, a mix of hope and fear battling within him. I wanted to share my experiences, you know, how those small moments can change lives. As they sat down, he realized that this was more than just a conversation, it was an invitation to unveil layers that had been buried beneath misunderstandings and assumptions. Mr. Chen's expression softened. I didn't realize you felt so strongly, he began, then hesitated. What do you mean by small moments? The question lingered in the air, heavy yet promising, as Jamal felt a swell of courage. This was the opening he had been waiting for, the chance to share not just his story, but to bridge the gap between their worlds. But then, Jamal felt the weight of the expectations pressing against his chest again. Would Mr. Chen truly listen? Would he open up enough to understand? As he took a deep breath, he prepared to speak from his heart, to show Mr. Chen what true connection looked like. Just when he was about to start, the cafe door swung open, and another customer stepped in, a figure that froze him in place. It was someone from his past, someone who could twist this meeting in a way he never expected. Could this encounter with Mr. Chen still go as planned? What if everything he hoped for unraveled in an instant? Jamal's breath caught in his throat. The figure standing in the doorway seemed to exude a magnetic energy he couldn't ignore. It was Marcus, an old friend turned bitter rival from high school. The kind of rival who collected truths and weaknesses like baseball cards. Their history was a long, twisted road, filled with moments shaping Jamal's present insecurities. Typically, he'd feel emboldened by anger or pride, ready to confront. But today, standing here, just when his opportunity was unfolding with Mr. Chen, all he felt was vulnerability. Would Marcus ruin everything? Would he make judgments, loud enough for everyone to hear, about Jamal's aspirations, his worth, a black waiter chatting with a Chinese businessman? The noise around him faded, muted by the reverberations of old wounds. Is that Jamal? Marcus's voice boomed across the cafe. A couple of heads turned, and Jamal's stomach twisted. It was as if Marcus stood under a spotlight, amplifying Jamal's insecurities in front of Mr. Chen. Yes, Marcus, it's me, Jamal replied, trying to maintain composure. What a surprise. Didn't expect to see you here, Marcus grinned knowingly, his tone dripping with sarcasm. Are you serving coffee now or selling dreams? The laughter that followed from a few nearby tables felt like daggers, slicing through the fragile atmosphere Jamal was trying to build. His chest tightened. Should he brush it off? Fight back? But the warmth of Mr. Chen's gaze anchored him. Marcus, I was just about to share something meaningful, he said, feeling the need to reclaim his narrative. Something that matters. Mr. Chen interjected, calm but firm. I'm interested in hearing, Jamal. You should continue. With those few words, the pressure eased slightly, but Jamal's thoughts raced. A million ideas spun around in his head, flickering between the fear of rejection and the desire for connection. Yeah, right. What could a guy like you possibly say that's worth our time? Marcus scoffed, his smirk widening. For a moment, Jamal felt small, reduced to a stereotype. But then, like a match igniting a spark, the memories of countless moments where he had risen above the noise washed over him. It's not about me being a waiter or you being who you are. It's about experiences connecting us, Jamal said, his voice stronger than he felt. Small moments, they can change everything. Like that time he hesitated for a split second, weighing whether to drag their history into this moment. But this was his chance. You stood up against the bullies for me. That was huge. It was more than just a gesture. It made a difference. There was silence, a tremor of surprise rippling through the cafe, as Marcus's expression shifted slightly, confusion mingling with discomfort. Are you actually trying to use that against me? Marcus challenged, but there was a flicker of uncertainty in his voice. No, Jamal replied, rising above the tension. I'm pointing out that we all have formative moments. Yours might not have been heroic, but it taught me bravery. My wish is for us to recognize those moments and what they mean. Mr. Chen nodded in agreement, his eyes glinting with interest. You're right, Jamal. Those connections can be powerful. Just then, the cafe door swung open again, and a commotion erupted. A loud argument broke out outside, pulling every ear in the cafe to the scene like moths to light. Jamal and the others exchanged glances, the tension momentarily forgotten as the ruckus escalated. What's happening out there? Jamal wondered, his heart racing anew. Was it a sign of hope or more trouble? And just like that, the world shifted once again, plunging him into uncertainty. Would this drama pull them all apart as he hoped for connection, or could it lead to an unexpected turn in their stories? Jamal's heart thudded as the argument outside grew louder, drowning out the gentle clinks of coffee cups and muted conversations within the cafe. He turned toward the window, straining to see what was happening. A crowd had gathered, and voices were rising shouting back. Some were clearly defending one side, while others hurled insults with reckless abandon. "My God, what's going on?" Jamal blurted out, glancing at Mr. Chen and then at Marcus, who seemed oddly amused by the chaos outside. It was a testament to the type of person Marcus had grown into, always finding gratification in other people's strife. "Looks like a couple of drunks got into it," Marcus said, his sneer unwavering. "But hey, at least it ain't boring to watch, right?" Without thinking, Jamal responded, "This isn't show, Marcus. People are arguing, and all you can do is sit there and make snide remarks." The words had flown out, sharper than he intended, but he felt the edge of his anger soothe him, grounding him away from the echoes of the past. Jamal focused instead on the argument outside. Beyond the clamor, there seemed to be a few familiar faces from his old neighborhood. The sight sent a ripple of concern through him. "Hey, let's get back to your little inspirational talk," Marcus waved a dismissive hand. "I mean, what's next? Are you going to invite me to a poetry slam?" "Marcus, you wouldn't understand," Jamal replied, pushing down the frustration. "You look at everything with sarcasm, but real connection, real empathy? It's built on understanding experiences. I'd hope you'd remember something like that." In that moment, Jamal caught a flicker of discomfort flash across Marcus's face. The reminder of their shared experiences, the bond they once had, seemed to seep through the barrier of rivalry. Yet before he could explore that opening further, the crowd outside erupted in cheers and gasps, the energy palpable even from a distance. "What now?" Jamal mused, half to himself. He stood up, straining to see through the mass of people gathered outside. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed Mr. Chen rising as well. "We should see," Mr. Chen said with a calm certainty. Jamal nodded, curiosity kicking in. They stepped toward the door just as the loudest argument seemed to reach a boiling point. A man yelled something about fighting over pride and respect, sentiments Jamal could relate to as they echoed fearlessly in his mind. But just then, someone broke through the melee, a young woman wielding a camera, shouting for people to show peace instead of aggression. Jamal felt a spark of admiration. "Look at that, she's trying to calm the storm," Jamal said, feeling his chest swell with local pride. "Fighting will never solve anything," the woman shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We've got to talk it out." Suddenly, the dispute shifted, more people turned to listen. Jamal smiled, realizing how sometimes, in the midst of discord, one voice could bring some clarity. "See that? Inspiration comes from anywhere," he quietly remarked to Mr. Chen. This moment transcended any judgments. Just then, Marcus threw his hands up, as if surrendering, but an unexpected flicker of intrigue crossed his face. "What if this isn't just random chaos? What if we're all part of something bigger?" The two men locked eyes for a moment, an unspoken agreement bridging the divide, but the hopeful atmosphere was punctured as a new, loud voice shouted from the crowd. "Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about." Jamal's stomach dropped. The wave of anger rolled back in. As the tensions flared up once again, Jamal felt a mix of responsibility and urgency. He had come here for an opportunity, it was unfinished business, still brewing in the air. He turned to Mr. Chen, whose eyes were sharp with understanding. "I can't let this go on. I need to stand up." "Do it, Jamal," Mr. Chen encouraged. With newfound resolve, Jamal stepped towards the door. Holding on to this moment felt vital. He wasn't just fighting for himself but for the connections they all seeked across race, background, and adversity. As he moved, he could feel the weight of his fears gradually lifting, embracing the urge to foster understanding over conflict. Would he find a way to bridge that gap? Or would his voice be drowned out, just like those fighting outside? Jamal took a deep breath before stepping outside, the air thick with tension and the heat of the crowd pressing against him. He felt every heartbeat echoing in his ears, inching him closer to the fray. The moment was now or never. As he stepped out, he spotted the woman with the camera, still using her voice to try to calm the crowd. He thought she looked brave, almost heroic, an illustration of what people could do when they united. He stepped toward her, drawn into her magnetic energy. "Everyone, listen," she shouted, her tone fierce yet pleading. Jamal could see her gesture moving like a conductor's baton, guiding the strained notes of anger hovering in the air. Jamal raised his hands, palms open. "Hey, everyone. There's no need to fight. I get it. We all have our stories." His voice rang out, casting a net over the crowd's attention. Eyes turned toward him, a mix of anger and curiosity, but most importantly they stopped yelling, even if only for a moment. Marcus hesitated behind him, then stepped beside Jamal, his expression uncertain yet intrigued. "Yeah. We're all in this together, aren't we? Let us not let pride ruin our community." A mixture of reactions echoed in the crowd. Some faces softened, others hardened. But Jamal could feel a shift, a subtle pull towards unity. He pressed on. "Look around you. We're all fighting for respect, for understanding, for a place we can call home. So let us find a way to talk this out." Those words hung in the air, resonating like the last note of a song. The atmosphere pulsated, and Jamal hoped that it would reach the corners of their hearts. "What has he got to say?" A voice from the back called out, provoking another bout of murmurs. "He's right," shouted the woman, eager to keep the momentum. "Why fight when we can share our experiences? When we can listen?" A younger man stepped forward, fists clenched but his voice wavering. "What do you know about it? You don't know what it's like to grow up in our neighborhoods." Jamal felt the edges of his own past prickling at his skin. "I do," he shouted back, his heart racing. "I've walked those streets. I've felt the pain you're feeling right now. And it stings. But together, we can heal it. We have to before it tears us apart." The man hesitated, his bravado faltering. For a brief moment, doubt clouded his expression, and Jamal seized it. "Let us not let anger be our only voice," Jamal continued with a potency he hadn't known he possessed. "Let us replace it with understanding, compassion. I know it's hard, but we have a chance to be better than this fight." Slowly, the murmurs shifted from hostility to contemplation. Jamal felt the chains of fear beginning to break within him, and he stepped forward more, even more confident. He could feel Mr. Chen and Marcus flanking him, their presence like sturdy pillars. It was then that he spotted someone he recognized, an old childhood friend who had moved away. "Jamal?" she called through the crowd, her voice disbelieving and hopeful. "Yeah, it's me." He waved, and the recognition sparked. Others began nodding, memories flowing back, bridging the years. It felt like a collective embrace, holding on to something they had once lost but could still build anew. But before Jamal could expound further, another loud voice erupted. "You think talking will change anything? You're wrong." Jamal turned, tension creeping in again. The familiar face of an antagonist emerged from the chaos, someone who thrived on discord. The moment he faced that hostility, Jamal felt his resolve teetering. Would his words hold? "Is this really what we want?" he asked, fighting through the anxiety. The belligerent man stepped forward, finger raised. The crowd held its breath at the mounting face-off. "Because I'm willing to fight for respect enough." Jamal interrupted, steeling himself. "How many fights will we need to win until we realize that respect begins with understanding?" In that charged silence, a wave of anticipation washed over the crowd, a moment where songs of violence were supplanted by desperation for connection. The world narrowed down to this. One man, and the response that followed could change everything. What would happen next? Would Jamal's call for peace prevail, or would the anger rush back, drowning out every effort he made? The crowd froze, tension hanging in the air like a live wire. Jamal's heart pounded in his chest, thump, 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 drowning out the voices around him. He could feel the weight of eyes upon him, the anger palpable. The face of the antagonist, a man known for stirring trouble, twisted into a sneer. Jamal's mind raced. This is it, he thought, every nerve ending alive with urgency. What could he say to de-escalate now? Look, I get it, he began, his voice steadier than he felt. You're angry, and you have every right to be. But fighting doesn't have to be our answer. It doesn't build a future, it builds walls. The antagonistic man scoffed, and what do you suggest? Just sit back and chat while they take everything from us? Frustration surged within Jamal, but he contained it. No. I'm not saying we do nothing. I'm saying let us channel that anger into something productive. Together. Talking isn't weakness, it's strength. The young man who had earlier questioned Jamal's credibility stepped forward again. His face was conflicted. But they don't listen to us. Ever. Why would they care about our words? Because, Jamal replied, grounding himself, words can shatter silence. Words can hold power. It's how we make sure they see us. A faint whisper of agreement trickled through the crowd. Faces softened just a bit. That's right, the woman with the camera chimed in, affirming Jamal's energy. We stand on the shoulders of our stories. And if we share them, maybe, just maybe, they'll resonate. This is our chance. Jamal scanned the crowd, searching for more lifelines. He saw nods, hesitant but present, a flicker of hope. And think about it, he continued. How many times have we shouted until we lost our voices, only to feel unheard? Isn't it time we tried a different way? He felt emboldened, finding clarity in his words. A way that doesn't leave us exhausted, but rather, connected. The crowd seemed to draw in a breath together, hesitant yet eager to see where his words might lead. But what if they don't want to connect? A voice from the back sounded, filled with doubt. Then we keep pushing. Jamal said, fire igniting in his veins. We keep building those bridges until they realize we're not going anywhere. Until they see us. A murmur of solidarity rippled through the gathering, and Jamal could feel coiled energy shifting in his favor. Still, the antagonist clung to his anger. You think talking can change their minds? You're dreaming. It starts with a dream, Jamal rebutted, his eyes locking onto the man's. Change starts with believing that it's possible. No more walls. Just pathways. We've got to believe in each other first before they start to believe in us. His heartbeat echoed loudly in his ears, but he clung to the moment, the power of connection blossoming like the first signs of spring after a long winter. Suddenly, someone from the side shouted, I remember. We used to play together when we were kids. It was another voice from the crowd, rekindling old bonds, echoing Jamal's call for connection. Yes. Jamal turned, surprised yet thrilled. That's exactly it. We've got history together. Let us hold on to that. But just as the warmth began to spread, a few people from the back shouted in discord again, reigniting the tension. This isn't going to solve anything. We're tired of words. Jamal's heart sank momentarily, but then he realized this was a chance to reflect a collective weariness. I hear you. Talk is cheap if we silence ourselves again, he responded, his voice unwavering. So let us empower our voices. Look at us, standing here, together. The atmosphere thickened, a tug-of-war of emotions unfolding. Would they come together or drift apart once again? His pulse raced. As the air crackled with uncertainty, Jamal clung to the moment, desperate for connection. Would his plea for peace resonate through the noise, or would the shadows of anger swallow it whole? And that moment hung in the air, a fragile thread of hope. Would they take it, or would they let it slip away? The crowd bristled, uncertainty thrumming in the air like an electric current. Jamal could feel the mix of hope and frustration swirling all around him, each sentiment palpable and searching for a place to settle. He caught glances exchanged between his neighbors. Some faces were tense, while others flickered with curiosity. "Let us not forget," called out a woman with a steady voice, "we're more than just victims of our stories. We're the authors of them too." Her words cut through the air, a steady reminder of their shared purpose. A nod of agreement rippled through the audience. Jamal's heart lifted slightly. He seized the moment. Exactly. Let us not just sit and take it. Let us reshape our narrative. Rewrite it. His hands gestured animatedly, framing the possibilities in the air between them. We have to pick up the pen if we want to change the script. But the antagonist's sneer remained unyielding, his presence like a storm cloud overhead. And what if our stories just reinforce their stereotypes? What if they laugh at us? His voice dripped with derision, casting doubts like shadows on the flickering light of hope. Jamal inhaled deeply. Then that's when we break the cycle. We have the power to inspire, to change the narrative from within. Yes, they may laugh now, he continued, voice gaining strength, but laughter can turn into understanding when we share our truths. Around him, the crowd leaned in, some faces lit with recognition. Jamal felt the atmosphere shift, a single spark igniting more flames of hope. A young girl, not more than 16, stepped forward. "I can share my story," she announced, her voice quavering yet full of determination. "I'll tell them how my family struggled, how our skin color made us less than to some, but how we rose above it. This is it," Jamal exclaimed, joy erupting within him. "We're forming connections right now. Look at her courage." Applause erupted, filling the air with a sense of camaraderie. Warmth prickled along their spines. Then another voice piped up, an older woman. "My grandmother told me stories about fighting for recognition in a world built to overlook us," she said. "And she did it all with love. If we share that love, we could transform anger into understanding." Several voices chimed in, sharing snippets of their lives, the challenges, the victories, the dreams that glimmered like stars in the darkness. Laughter emerged at times, and through the passion of their narratives, tears were shed. The antagonist, however, clung to his position, his posture stiff like a rotting tree refusing to bend. "What's the point of pouring your heart out if they never listen?" Jamal didn't flinch. "Because every word, every story matters," he countered, resolve thickening in his throat. "It matters because it lets us breathe air into change. We won't drown in silence. We're here to scream if we have to." Cheers erupted, now a chorus echoing through the crowd. With each passing moment, the walls began to yield. They were building something beautiful, a living tapestry of their lives woven together in this moment of shared vulnerability. Yet, the antagonist remained, fists clenched, but the crowd was shifting. Jamal could see fractures forming in the man's facade, but could he sway him completely? The faces around him were lit with fight and fervor, yet it was clear the conflict had not faded entirely. As Jamal stood there, heart racing with a mix of anticipation and fear, he felt the urge to press further. "We're almost there, folks. Just take a deep breath and hold on to this." But before he could finish his thought, a loud crash echoed from the edge of the crowd. Heads turned, eyes widened, and suddenly it felt like a dam breaking. What had they just unleashed? The chaos erupted as a scuffle broke out at the edge of the crowd. Faces turned from expressions of hope to astonishment, the air suddenly thick with uncertainty again. Jamal's heart sank. Had they worked so hard just to see it all crumble? "Wait! Hold on!" Jamal shouted, his voice cutting through the disarray like a beacon of urgency. He pushed through to the front, the weight of the moment settling heavily on his shoulders. A group of young men struggled, fists flying and anger surging. The crowd gasped collectively, tension wrapping around them like a vice. Jamal's pulse quickened. This was the antithesis of everything he had been fighting for. This can't be where it ends. Everyone. We need to come together. Jamal called out again, his voice rising above the tumult. He could see the realization flicker across faces around him, recognition that violence only begets more violence. Is this really what we want to show? Come on, we're better than this. The moment stretched painfully, but gradually, eyes that had been locked on the fight began to shift, returning their focus to Jamal. Please. This is our chance to change the narrative, he implored, heart on his sleeve. Let us show them the strength of unity instead. As he spoke, something shifted. A few bystanders broke away from the crowd, drawing closer to help disengage the scuffle. It began with one voice, then another, intertwining in a melody of reason. "See mon guys. This isn't worth it." Someone yelled. "We have the power to change things without fighting." Jamal held his breath, willing the focus back on cooperation. The initial antagonists began to tire, their adrenaline slowly giving way to confusion as they hesitated, glancing around at the faces of those who had stood up, united against chaos. "See?" Jamal continued, his voice steadying. "Even here, at our lowest moment, we have the ability to lift each other up. Let us not fall into the same pattern anymore." Little by little, the crowd began offering support to those in conflict. With helping hands, the young men started to let go, the fire between them cooling as recognition took hold. They weren't enemies, just victims of their own narratives. As the fight dissipated, Jamal's heart leapt. With a deep breath, the crowd rallied behind him, the cacophony of emotion coalescing into a resounding chorus of unity. "We're in this together," shouted the woman with the camera, raising her voice above the returning chatter. "Our hopes are intertwined. Let us create a future we can be proud of." Applause erupted, affirmation flooding the air. Jamal felt a rush of relief and gratitude wash over him. What once seemed impossible now felt achingly within reach. They were reclaiming their power together. And then he spotted Mr. Chen standing off to the side, a contemplative smile breaking across his face. Finally, a connection sparked the realization that this moment could change the trajectory of their lives. "Thank you, Jamal," Mr. Chen said, stepping forward bravely. "Your words have turned this around. It's a reminder of how we all need to be better. I see the weight of responsibility you carry, and it's important to share these stories." The crowd turned, eyes widening in surprise, but Jamal felt a swell of pride. "Let us listen," he urged. "Let us share and support. Let us refuse to let anger drown out our voices." Mr. Chen nodded, visibly shaken yet inspired. "Let us create pathways of understanding, not walls. We can't just listen, we have to act." Hope rushed through Jamal as the energy transformed. The crowd began to engage, exchanging stories, laughter echoing, and the air sparkled with reconciliations of the past, folks embracing differences while standing side by side. In that cafe amidst chaos, something extraordinary was born, a community resurrected from silence into dialogue, from anger to understanding. It felt electric, charged with purpose. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting hues of gold across their faces, Jamal knew this was just the beginning. Together, they shared their histories. Each story was a brick in their newfound foundation, stronger than anything anger could create. Lives intertwined, laughter rang out amidst the stories exchanged, and at that moment everything felt hopeful and right. Hope illuminated the cool evening, and Jamal stepped back, overwhelmed with gratitude. His mother's teachings echoed through him, he had carried dignity through struggle, and now, they were all rewriting their narratives together. In that instant, Jamal realized the fight for understanding was far from over, but for the first time, it felt like they were moving forward. He glanced around at the faces, familiar and new, smiling at one another with genuine warmth. And in time, laughter could indeed transform into understanding, and understanding that connected them all, weaving intricate paths of compassion across the tapestry of their lives. As the laughter carried on into the night, one thing remained clear: change was possible, and it began here, amidst a diner filled with laughter and honesty. So whatever stage you're at in your life, remember, never underestimate the power of feeling connected and sharing your story. Now, don't wait. This is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Don't wait not even one more second to share.